there's a whole generation of city planners and urban planners that owe a tremendous debt to this next game in our countdown of the 100 greatest video games of all time. We're talking about number 51. We're talking about the whole series because we can't pick just one game in the series.
Yeah.
It is SimCity from our good friends at Maxis and EA Games now. They're currently the publisher.
And Will Wright, this was his idea, his concept right from the beginning. He always wanted to create simulations as games. His idea was that if you strip away what we know in the known kind of universe, because he tried all kinds of crazy things, but he liked to see us sort of break down the fundamentals to the systems that we know, the sort of familiarity around us, to understand it in sort of its game state. And that's exactly what SimCity represents. It gives you political information, it gives you geographical information, it gives you electrical information. You got to make sure that there's water going to all of your different establishments. This was city planning to the minutest detail, and that sounds incredibly boring.
Sounds so boring,
but there's something
to talk about
so amazing in the construct. I mean, so much of what we know about video games is truly focused on destruction or beating enemies or tearing through these different worlds. And here was a game that turned all of that on its head and forced you to think about creativity and building and growing and keeping your citizens happy.
This is a game that goes back to the roots of gaming almost as well. And, you know, we always talk about it, like, why do we have to shoot everybody and why is it always blowing everything up? Well, there have been plenty of games over the years through video game history that have celebrated the building up of societies, the building up of cityscapes.
We talked about Sid Meier's Civilization franchise.
And this is also a series that I think we have, like many games on this list, we've come to take for granted over the years because it has been so ubiquitous and there have been so many versions. And I just remember even long before I had a computer, I had a friend of mine who had a computer and I went to visit him and he's playing SimCity. This looked like the most sophisticated thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I couldn't believe this.
I have a little story for you. The computer that I wrote the concept for the Electric Playground on was an Apple LC630. And the first game disc that I bought was SimCity 2000.
Floppy?
It was a CD-ROM, and then CD-ROMs were new at the time, and this was a big deal. And it was filled with, you know, glorious music and pretty cool graphics. And the other game that I bought was Myst, and I hated Myst. SimCity 2000 knocked my socks off. I was so enamored by the detail and the saving of Vickville and then Batwing Town and all of these different kinds of cool sort of touches that you could add to it. Now, obviously, SimCity has charted a lot of different courses throughout game history. We've looked at the franchise before on the show, and we looked at it most recently. Here's a look back.
10 long years, and where have the Sims been living? Today we're taking a look at SimCity, the reboot, the revamp, the return of the great city building simulator. Steve, what'd you think?
I have a dirty little secret. I've never played a SimCity game before. Can you believe that? I love these kind of games. I played the Caesar games, I've played city building games before. Somehow, SimCity just never crossed my path. So I'm coming at it from a completely fresh angle. You, I'm guessing, are a veteran of the simulated metropoli.
I'm somewhat of a veteran. I'd say I dabble more, because my problem is that the only thing that SimCity has truly taught me is I'm a terrible city planner. But anyways, let's actually talk about the gameplay here. And I have to say that one of the big changes here is I think that the UI has been dramatically improved. I think it's very, very slick.
I think they did a great job. There's a lot going on behind the scenes you don't need to know about, but if you want to look at the various aspects of your city, you can find out stuff like the land value, where the water table is. You can learn there's all sorts of data pumping below the hood in this game, and yet the surface is just this very slick, glitzy toy. The game has a very social component, which I'm not personally a fan of. I'm a solo, solitary city builder. I want to lay down my city. I don't want to trade. I don't want to send my garbage trucks to anybody in the city. I don't want to send my police cars.
I love a lot of the stuff going on here, but this game really wants you to play with other people. You know, every region has at least 3 zones, and you're supposed to sort of create these sort of tri-part agreements with these other cities. You can always set up your game privately, and so basically you can run all 3 cities, but you know, the micromanagement there becomes...
trouble being mayor of one city. Never mind being mayor of 3 cities at once.
Now, a little bit of a black cloud is kind of hanging over the SimCity franchise these days.
Yeah, from its forced online connectivity, but there's no question the latest SimCity is an amazing game, and the whole franchise is absolutely deserving of being number 51.